Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm looking at all these things I have to click here a minute.
Okay.
It says,
So maybe we should just talk and have our usual conversation, and then once I stop the broadcast, it'll be recorded, and then I'll email it to you.
oh, there you are, honey.
Oh, can you see me?
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, excellent.
you're on the main. It appears I actually have the sidebar now. Chat admin, chat public. Yeah, that looks like a webinar to me. Yeah,
Okay, perfect.
I'm gonna turn the
So,
volume up. Keep talking.
can you hear me okay?
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh, okay. I can hear
Yeah,
you
I'm
great
trying
too.
to figure out if I'm looking at you or
Yeah, maybe look at your camera up on top, and I'll do the same.
how does that work? Tell me when.
There's a little thing up on top where your camera should be. You looked fine wherever you were looking.
Hmm. Where
Looked
before?
fine to me. So wherever you're looking now looks good.
Good.
So, so let's talk a little bit. One of our usual conversations. We both have the experience of having breast cancer, and we've talked about that many times on phone and Facebook. So maybe to help some of the others, why don't we, talk about some of the things that we've talked about and share a little bit, just a little short version today, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds good.
So what would you like to talk about?
Well, I was thinking, Andrea, that you know, the whole effect of having breast cancer, affecting us emotionally, spiritually, physically. Everybody wants to talk about the physical all the time. It's easier to talk about what hurts or what they did to me.
Right.
We tend to forget the spiritual and let's just say the emotional, the mental processing of it. And I think what we're seeing today, you and I both knowing a lot of women and meeting the women like we do, we meet them in numbers we can't keep track of. Um, these women are suffering. We can see it clearly. They're they're doing what they can to survive. And how we talk about the new you has to be, you have to come into being the new you, right?
Mhm.
They tell us when we first start, there'll be a new you. You won't ever be the same in your life again. After you go through treatment, there's a new you. I don't know if you've ever heard that. I hear it all the time.
Not exactly, but yeah.
Yeah, what it is that you are thrown into the treatment. You feel like you're thrown into the treatment. When you're done with your active treatment, chemo, radiation, surgery, you feel like you're thrown out of treatment. And a lot of these women are saying they feel like they're in limbo. What do I do now? Well, if I'm supposed to have a new me, what am I supposed to do? I think this is one of the most important issues we have as survivors of breast cancer. We can't be balanced. We can't help anyone if we can't help ourselves first. And we're not made just a physical being. We are an emotional being. We
Right,
are a spiritual being. And if we're starving in any of those areas, we're out of balance.
right.
So that after having talked to you before, I went through all the things that we could talk about. And I said, oh, Lord, there's too much, just too
Yeah,
much in this one area of our life. And I thought, where I want to go, I want to walk next to you. I want to have these women that we're trying to help. We're desperately trying to help them.
right,
I want to walk right up to whoever the president is, to be honest with you, and say, this is what's wrong with this system, and this is what has to happen in order to change that. And we're standing here right now with this army of women behind us, telling you that we want to be part of that change. Remember when we talked about the army of women?
yeah, yeah,
How are we going to help ourselves?
right.
We have to.
And I think you bring up excellent points, Michelle, and I know you and I have talked about this many times. And, the emotional aspect is so important. And for me, that's something that I really, it's been 8 years since my breast cancer. And some ladies more recent, I know you're about 2+ years out, some more recent than that. New ladies every day are getting diagnosed, unfortunately, or fortunately. We want them to get diagnosed if they have it, obviously. Um, but for me personally, I even wrote a book on breast cancer, as you know, but I didn't deal with the emotions of it. And I realized recently that I've repressed a lot of emotions in my life things that happened, the bad, because you just have to get through it. You put yourself sometimes in survival mode, and you just need to get through a bad situation for yourself and for your family. And sometimes it takes you years. For me, it's now been 8 years till I'm really realizing, I was in survival mode for a long time, physically, mentally, financially, in so many ways. I thankfully got my health back pretty quick, and I've done amazing things to do that, and that's going well. But the mental component sometimes is what could really hinder us or help us. Our mind is either our best asset or a negative tool.
Exactly.
So for me personally, that's what I'm working on. Like, how do I refocus? How do I rethink this? How do I take something that was kind of a negative experience? How do I help other women through the experience like you do every day? And how do I help myself? Like you said, you got to help yourself first sometimes and guide yourself through this. And then when you see something's working for you, of course, you want to share that with other people and help guide them along this path. And you're right, we have to be an army of collective women who are collaborating and bringing information to the table that is helping us, could help others, and then be a force to be reckoned with and be known and say, hey, this is what we need to be happening. These are some changes we need to be in the medical system or the political arena or whatever it may be. Diagnosis, treatment, prevention, cure, all of that. And you are absolutely right. And I know you are creating this army of women, which is appropriate since you were in the military, to bring this on and take charge of it together. And I know when we do, we all feel better instead of just dwelling on, oh my God, I feel terrible today. Right. Instead of just dwelling on how our own feelings are, we're maybe feeling something and helping other people. And I know me personally, I always feel better whatever I've got going on when I'm helping someone else. You almost forget about your own something. Yep. So what do you have to say, Michelle?
Well, I think it's profound what you just said, Andrea, that you have been out 8 years and you've been in survival mode for 8 years. And I'm just going to look at all these people that are supposed to be helping us. Quote, quote, these guys are supposed to be helping us. They're not. If you've been in survival mode for 8 years, they didn't help you. Okay? So the system's broke. We've talked about that, so I don't have to repeat that. I think, and it just kind of, I had to stop myself. I literally was over here when you said that. I had to hold my breath because I felt this emotion just well up in me because I love my sisters. I love my fellow man so much that to hear you're suffering for 8 years is unacceptable in my book. I don't care. Excuse me. I just don't care how much money these people want to make off someone's suffering. It's not acceptable. We have to stay focused as women. Now, as long as Breast Cancer Champions has been in existence, which is what, just a little over a year, heading for a year and a half, this baby's is not even really a toddler yet. But I have seen multifacets of the women in the group. Multifaceted women, but I've also seen the survivors like yourself who say, well, if this is the way my life is going to be, then I'm just going to accept it. No. We can have quality in our lives. We don't have to suffer every day. We just need a team on the other end of the spectrum to help us get to where we need to go. They need to acknowledge what we're feeling, and they need to say, okay, well, the medication maybe that we've been prescribing isn't working. What's going on? What do we need to do for these women? And I suggest that what they need to do for us, breast cancer survivors, is they need to have a program installed that's covered by insurance, where we go into a transitional stage after our active treatments. So instead of getting your chemo or your surgery or your radiation and then saying goodbye, you're done, they say, now you need to go to this wellness stage where we can help you recover and become that woman you want to be. We have women, see, I could go on, Andrea, and go on. I'll just make this last point here, is You can say, I have to go to work. I have no choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you have someone there to back you up, you can say that if you have money in your savings account that you can live off for the rest of your life, so you basically retire medically, okay? Uh, you can do all of that, but you're not going to do it with quality of life if you don't get treated for everything that has been injured. And once again, our emotions have been slammed. We're having our bodies deformed, altered. That's huge in the medical world, to have your body image altered. Um, your mind, you suffer all the emotional things you went through. One being, oh my God, I'm going to die, I have cancer. That's traumatic in itself, to say, I could die.
Mm-hmm.
Who was there for you to say, okay, let's talk about those feelings? Who said that to you? Certainly wasn't your doctor.
No.
Your oncology doctor certainly didn't step up and say, are you afraid of dying? Because he doesn't want to see tears. They don't want to see the emotion, and they don't have time for it in the way that the medical world is set up today. And once again, yeah, I'm not a friend of the medical system. Like I'm sure you know, I've been a nurse and I have been practicing. I hold a license right now for over 20 years. I have been a nurse,
Mm-hmm.
and I have been in the muck of it. And I have seen how corporations influence quality of care, and it's not a good picture.
Mm-hmm.
We're human beings. We pay our taxes in this country of ours. We should expect a quality care system that is constantly changing with the demands.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm getting off on that, so I'll just go ahead and say, oh, okay, go for it,
So a
Andrea.
couple things on what you were talking about. So like for me personally, I feel very thankful that I've regained my health and I have a very active lifestyle, but it's been me doing it, not like a doctor, like you said. There was no one proactively saying, Andrea, now it's time to move on. You've had treatment, you know, you had your double mastectomy, you had your reconstruction. Let's get you physically active. Let's get your mind emotionally recharged or whatever.
Mhm.
You know, you do, the medical, I had great care, but they're really focused on just the cancer part. How do we cut off her breasts, get her whole, you know, healthy as much as we can? She's cancer free. That was really the goal, and
Right.
then send you kind of on your way. For me, I had reconstruction. Just had to have reconstruction again. 8 years later, you know, that's another story. But anyway, so a lot of the ladies, I feel fortunate with the limited, you know, just even having only mastectomies. I know so many women have had so much more. They had that, plus the chemo, plus the radiation, plus the tamoxifen, the aromatase inhibitors. So I feel fortunate that I didn't have to do all that. But even with what I did, it still is draining emotionally, physically, mentally. And even though I've regained my physical health so strongly, and I hope to help as many ladies as I can with that aspect, I realized, like we were talking about now, and I've recently just come to this realization that I didn't necessarily come to grips with the emotional aspect. You know, I very much had to be in survival mode and an objective way of how to get through this in the best way possible for
Exactly.
myself. And I had a very young child. He was 1.5 at the time, and a 10-year-old daughter. So you have to do things sometimes for other people. And so I'm in total agreement with you that, and that's something that we need to think about. And I know your group really provides a lot of that for women, a place to go, a safe haven where you could vent, you could, you know, give your emotions some charge or put things out there. But why, you know, when I'm thinking when you're talking, why isn't it integrated in as part of the treatment process? Yes, you've just been through this and this. We're either going to send you to some kind of group activity of some sort or personal counseling or whatever it may be, that you're not just focused on the physical and getting cancer free, but you're also the emotional and everything else that comes along with it. So that's something that I believe you touched upon, and I believe you're right, needs to be addressed. We're not just the physical, we're the emotional, the spiritual, all the components. And when
Mhm.
someone has breast cancer or any other type of major illness or disease or situation, whatever you want to call it, there's all that goes on with it, and the family dynamics and the personal and the, you know, it's becomes so much of your life, especially if you have to go for treatments and take days and days off of work or whatever it might be. So I think we've touched on a lot of things. What I'd like to do is wrap this up in a few minutes. Let the ladies know that we're both available. They can contact me. The best way to reach me is to text me, and I'll give you that number. If someone wants to write it down, or we'll be sending out this link, 619-518-0476, or find me, I'm in California, or find me on Facebook through Michelle's group. We're Facebook friends, Andrea Schneider. We didn't even introduce ourselves in the beginning, Michelle, so say your name.
Just because we know each other, no?
Yeah, I know, we forgot about the other ladies.
This is practice, so we have to remind ourselves to definitely intro first. Yes, I'm Michelle Hayner. I go as Michelle Lawson Speaks Hayner on Facebook. Breast Cancer Champions is a closed group, but you can request to join it. It's a support group for women only at this point. We do, however, have a support group on the sidelines. We call it Circle of Champions, for people who are family members, men who have breast cancer at this point. We are going to do something about that in the future for the men who are coming down with this lovely situation. My phone number, I don't think I'll give my phone number just yet, Andrea.
That's fine.
But, definitely go ahead and contact me through Facebook. I'm trying to think of any other. I guess I could give my email address.
Yeah.
If you'd like to email me, michelle.52rae@gmail.com.
Great.
Once, there are some people in the group who do have my phone number. Andrea does, so if you need to get a hold of me, and, we can do something on that order too. But yeah, I think that this is a wonderful idea. I like this. I do.
Yeah, I think it's a nice way of us to communicate with the ladies, Michelle, and I hope that they'll like it too, because sometimes we put things out there in words, and and text or email, or even in the Facebook group, and people can interpret it different ways, and they can interpret what we're saying now in different ways. But it's nice to have a face behind, and
right.
Hopefully we'll do more of these and invite maybe some of the other ladies to be guest speakers, and the goal is we have some conversations that will be valuable to others. And so if people have requests of what they would like for us to talk about, please contact us. So again, text me. Texting is the best way to contact me, 619-518-0476, or message me on Facebook. So find me again, Andrea Schneider, Schneider, on Facebook. And I have a breast cancer small group on there that I haven't built like Michelle built her wonderful group, or find me through Michelle's group. And let's all stay connected. And Michelle is absolutely right. We need to work on this together. Together we can be so much more powerful than a woman sitting home and dwelling on this and working on this by herself or thinking about it by herself. And oh, thank you.
Michelle has my book. I just wanted to do her a little plug for her book. And I wanted to talk with you about your book too, Andrea. Can you see that?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, yeah, I did read this from cover to cover, so everybody who really cares about something like that and thinks that my opinion counts for like more than 2 cents. Chuckle, right? No, I did read the book, and I am a very good reader. I love to read, and I'm also aspiring to be a published author myself someday. Oh, excuse me. So, yeah, let's empower each other.
Those of you who want to find my book, it's called You Are Not Alone, Life After a Breast Cancer Diagnosis, and you can find it on Amazon. You can download it. You can buy a copy of it, whatever you want to do. Yeah. And my goal with it was that I'm a prolific note taker, and I had so many notes because, as we know, the doctors don't necessarily offer us information. And if you don't ask the right questions, you just don't get answers. So I wanted to make sure other ladies who maybe weren't as aggressive about asking questions or things could get some of this information. So I did a lot of research. 4 years it took me to write that book, researching using my own notes. And I wrote about pretty much what I had personal experience with the hopes that it could help other women kind of make a decision what maybe would be the best treatment for them and how to go through the process. So I hope it adds some value to your life. So, all right, Michelle, I will see you soon on your Facebook group, and we will chat again, and I'm going to send you this link right now.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right, talk to you soon. Have a great day.
Yep, you too.
Love you, and thanks for all you're doing.
Love you too,
All
Andrea.
right, bye-bye.
I don't know how to